Today's video is on this look, this warm fall look you could wear anywhere during the fall, to Thanksgiving, or really just anywhere you're going. I'm going to be using the brand new Tartelette Toasted palette as well as the Clay Play palette. I have been using Clay Play on my face in some way almost every single day, whether it's to do my brows, my eyes, to set my eye primer, to contour, to highlight. And honestly, when I first saw it, when it first launched, I didn't give it a second glance aside from the awesome case. I really just thought it looked completely and utterly boring. I really thought, why do I need it? I've got matte neutral shadows in my life already. I don't need it. I feel like there is everything you need in this palette. I use this to contour with, this to bronze with. Any one of these can go on my eyes at any point in time. And I use this to highlight my brow bone with almost every day. I use this to set my eyeshadow primer with almost every single day. I use any one of these to line with. I've actually used this shade to line with. It's just a great daytime, just enough definition to the eye without being a liner, if you know what I mean, if you just want a little bit of something on your eye. And these two shades are perfect for the brow, for my brows, but you know, there's a shade in here for anybody's brows. This is probably my most used palette at this moment. So I am going to be using it on my face. For my eyes, I'm using Toasted because I know you guys saw me get this on my social media. So if you're not following me on my social media, you may want to do so because you'll see when I get stuff and some swatches and things like that. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you can follow me here and see when I use things and how I use them. But this palette is absolutely stunning. It's super warm. If you like warm palettes, you will love this one. It is really pigmented. It's really blendable. It's all those wonderful adjectives that you want in a palette. So just to show you a side by side of Toasted and In Bloom, you can see how much warmer Toasted is than In Bloom. And In Bloom is not a cool palette. So I'm going to use Tartelette Toasted on my eyes and Clay Play on my face, and a couple of new things as well that I've been wanting to try out just throughout the process. So if you want to see how I got this look, just keep watching. This is being done in conjunction with the foundation road test summary today. I think it's already up, and it's the Dior Air Flash foundation. I know some of you wanted to see my thoughts on that, so I do have a shortened foundation road test on this, and there's a reason for that. So go check that out if you haven't already, but that is what is on my face today. I've primed my lids with my Milani eyeshadow primer. I use this a ton to prime my lids. I'm gonna be setting and doing my powder in a second. My concealer on my face is the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Canal. And under my eyes, I did a combination of Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place and Tarte Shape Tape. The Estee Lauder is in light medium. The Tarte Shape Tape is in light medium honey. Oh, and to prime my face, I have on my Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. I don't think that's a surprise to any of you who have watched my channel before. Maybelline sent me some of their Fit Me powders, which I've actually already been using this Fit Me Loose powder in shade 20 as a finishing powder. But I love what this does for pore blurring, and I thought, why don't I try setting my under eyes with it and my face with it and just see what happens. I'm typically light, medium, warm toned. So when I bought the powder, I bought it in light, medium. It just changes the color of my makeup if I try to set with it. So I thought, I wonder if the Fair would be more of the color of a translucent powder since it does disappear into the skin. I'm gonna try and dust away the excess with this Sigma F30 powder brush. So I'm gonna take the Clay Play palette and I'm going to take sand and put this all over my lids. This is what I'm going to set my primer with. I usually don't wait this long to set my primer because it creases. So I did just pat out those creases, but this is pretty much the shade of my skin. That brush, by the way, was a Royal & Langnickel BOM-40. The goal of doing that was just to even out the pigmentation on the lids, create a smooth canvas, and keep shadows from creasing during the day. So I've been taking either one of these two shadows for my brows. I am going to whiz through this brow section because I don't like doing my brows on camera. It's a little tedious. It takes a little long. I used a Sonia Kashuk angled brush. I'm not sure if this is a brow or a shadow brush, and just a little spoolie. This is from the Brow Gal, but anybody makes a spoolie you can use. And I'm just gonna do my brows. I ended up just using Dunes on my brows, which is the lightest shade. I like to go for a lightest shade because I feel like brows can go dark and way too dramatic very, very easily. I think I'm gonna go with this 943 face shading brush from Delium Tools and the shade Desert. I really like to contour with this shade. It's cool enough and I don't know, I just like it. I find that there is very little kick up when I use these shades. You can see here, I mean, I do always tap off the brush, but there's just not a lot of kick up and they're really, really smooth. I like to look down and get a little shadow there and then angle the brush up, and don't worry, I'm gonna blend that. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take what's left onto the nose because I don't want the nose contour to be too crazy. But I do like to try and correct that crooked area if I can. I'm going to take that same shade on the 977 face sculpting brush, tap it off, and see what happens up here. I think it's blending it in a little bit better. Now I'm going to take Terracotta and just my regular Real Techniques blush brush. This is what I use for my bronzer brush all the time. I think it's a fabulous bronzer brush. I'm going to dip it in and tap off the excess really well because these shades are extremely pigmented, and I'm just going to use a really light hand and bring that onto the back of the cheekbones very lightly just across the face, just to give a little bit of life to the face. I'm actually going to take this Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter that I have no idea what the shade is. It is just the kind of peachy light looking shade. They put their shades onto the stickers and then you peel them off. It drives me absolutely insane. So Delium Tools 941 tapered highlighting brush. I really do like this brush. That's nice. I like this highlighter. I'm going to take Cashmere, which is this really pretty peach shade, and I'm going to use this as my transition down into the crease. But I want to show you that in some of these shades, there's some kick up. You can see that. I did not experience that with In Bloom. I don't have a problem tapping my brush off. It does not affect the blendability or the pigment or anything like that. These shades are gorgeous and they're so easy to work with. So don't let that deter you from this palette. I don't have any issues using this at all. So I am going to tap my brush off. So like I said, I'm just going to take this shade all in my transition and I angle my brush up so that I get the bottom of that hood underneath my brow bone. It's just so much easier than trying to struggle going straight forward and down if you have hooded eyes. The next shade that I'm going to be taking on my MAC 217 brush is Warmth, and that's this really pretty orangey matte shade. I'm just going to put that in the crease. You can see the kick up that just happened. And down into that outer third just a bit. I'm always using the outer corner of my eye and the outer corner of my brow as my guide. I really don't want anything to go past that. I'm just sweeping it in the crease and just diffusing it in a circular motion. I want to look straight ahead into my mirror because I want to make sure that I get some of that color up above the crease, because if you have hooded eyes and you look straight ahead, you may not have anything up on that brow bone once you look straight ahead. So you want to make sure you get something up there. So be sure and check and look straight ahead sometimes. So I'm not really putting a ton on the inner corner, just sweeping it every now and then. And I'm not going quite as high as I did with the Cashmere. And I'm taking this about maybe almost halfway across the lid. Now I'm going to take a slightly more tapered crease brush. This is a Sigma E25 into Cozy. That's this warm, rusty, brownish shade with orange undertones. And I'm going to place this in the outer third of the lid and just swirl it around. And I do want it slightly in that crease as well. We just want this to be a very diffused, soft, and look. I'm keeping it to that same area, but I'm not spreading it out quite as much as I did the shade Warmth. And I am bringing it slightly inwards in my crease, but not all the way to the inner corner, maybe about 2/3 in, but not with all the pigment. Where you place your brush first is where you want most of the pigment. So I placed it in that outer corner, kind of where the lid meets the crease. And because we want the eye to be lifted, we're concentrating it in this shape right here. We want our guide to be the corner of our eye and our brow so that our eye stays lifted. We just want most of the pigment to be in that 7 shape. So now I'm going to blend just a little bit around the edges with a clean blending brush. This is a Luxie 205. I'm not fully committed, but I think I'm going to take Sunset, which is this coppery golden color. I'm going to pack it onto my lid, maybe a little darker than what I want to do, or it may work beautifully. But I'm really just pressing it down. I haven't even tapped off any excess or dusted that off, and there's no kickback on that. So it really is very shade dependent. I'm going back to my Clay Play palette and I'm taking the shade Solstice, which is this really nice light shade. And I'm using my Sephora number 15 small shadow brush. And that is what I'm gonna highlight my brow bone with. It's very, very subtle, but I think that's gonna give me what I want. And I'm gonna blend this a little bit. And what I think I'm actually gonna do is go back into that cashmere shade, which is the initial transition shade, and just add a little bit more of that to emphasize that transition. So I have 2 choices for liner that I'm looking at. I can use the shade Fireside, which is a deep brown, or I could use Onyx, which is this black shade. I think I'm gonna go with the Fireside, and we're just gonna see how this turns out. I can always re-emphasize it with the Onyx from the Clay Play palette, but I'm gonna go warm. And Delium Tools sent me 2 liner brushes that I'm gonna test out today. This 718 tiny pencil brush, and then the 761 tight lining brush, but I'm not really thinking I'm gonna full out tight line. I may just kind of go really close to my lash line. So I'm just gonna go in and start lining. Whoa, this is a good tight lining brush though. It is tiny. All right, yeah, no, I'm gonna tight line. This is a great tight lining brush, you guys. Holy moly. Okay, you know I like to tight line with a shadow, and this is a great brush. I didn't feel it. It didn't make me blink or anything like that. It gets right in between the lashes, right at the lash line. Yep, that's a great tight lining brush. I finished with the liner, and I did end up refining it just a little bit with my angled MAC 266 brush because it just needed a little bit of a finer tip. But if you wanted to just totally smoke out your liner, that little tiny, tiny pencil brush would be perfect. I mean, you guys have seen a ton where I just use a pencil brush, and that would be perfect. I just didn't really want that look today. I'm just gonna take Fireside and a Sigma E45 and lightly dip it in and just add a little bit of depth right there by the tip. It just adds a little bit of balance here, I think. I'm just taking it into the depths of that corner. You can just blend everything out a little bit more with that transition shade. I'm going to take that teeny tiny pencil brush and clean it off in my color switch, which I'll link down below. I'm going to take it in that sunrise shade. I'm going to use it in my inner corner. I'm just going to take cashmere all along the bottom lash line and then take the warmth on the outer third and then take a little bit of the cozy as well. So I'm just going to go through that really quickly and then I'll be done and I can move on to mascara. My bottom coat mascara is Catrice Rock Couture Waterproof mascara, which they sent to me and I wanted to try out. I do like the wand. I like how it separates and it does hold my curl. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit before I put on my second coat mascara, which I have not figured out what I'm gonna use for that yet. I wanna see how this Maybelline Fit Me blush works. It's in the shade Nude. I swipe my finger through it. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It kind of looks neutral pink, I guess is the right way to describe it. I did end up using roller lash, by the way. In case you were wondering what mascara this is on my face. So let's see, is that too pink? I can't tell how it's coming across on the monitor. Let's see. I finished my lips and I changed my blush a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but I really wasn't liking the pinkiness of the Maybelline Nude blush. It just had a little bit of a pinky undertone that wasn't quite jiving with the look that I wanted. I did like the blush itself and the texture with maybe a different look, but just not this one. So I did tissue it off lightly and I replaced it with Becca Wild Honey, which, man, this looks like nothing in the pan, but on the face, it really works with so many looks and it just gives such a nice neutral look. I'm just really digging it. It goes with a smoky eye, with a red lip, with anything. So this is kind of my new fave blush at the moment. For the lip, I have on Gorgeous Cosmetics Kiana lip pencil. I really like this for a nude neutral lip pencil. It's light, but not too light. I like the way it wears and fills in the lips. It's just really nice if you're wearing a neutral lip. And I have on the Maybelline Vivid Matte Liquid in number 5 Nude Thrill. It's not too light, it's not too dark, and it has some brown undertones, but it's not too orangey either. So I liked the way it looked with this because I really wanted the emphasis to be on the eyes, but I didn't want to look washed out on the lip either. And it's nice and inexpensive. I like the way it feels. It says it's matte, but it's not too matte and it doesn't feel dry. I don't like a drying lip product. If you watch my channel, you know that about me. This is it. This is the final look. It's great for fall. If you're going to a Thanksgiving dinner or just anywhere really, I love the way it came out. It's nice and soft and diffused, but yet has a little bit of punch to it too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're not following me on social media, as usual, I will have those on the screen and down below. And I hope to see you at my next video. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.